You met someone, and it felt different. Not the usual, let's see where this goes energy. This felt like this could actually be something. The conversations were easy. The attention felt real. You started to believe this is it. And then slowly, quietly, it started to fall apart. Not with a big fight, not with a dramatic goodbye, just a shift, a cooling, a distance you couldn't explain. And you're left sitting with this question that no one prepares you for. What went wrong? Because from where you were standing, you did everything right. You showed up. You were interested. You were open. You were yourself. But here's what nobody tells you about courtship. Doing everything right in the wrong way still costs you. Courtship is not just about engaging yourselves. It's about engaging yourselves correctly. And most people are making mistakes they cannot see in a season that decides everything. Courtship is not dating casually. It is not just getting to know someone. Courtship is an audition for both of you. And the decisions you make in this phase either build a foundation or quietly poison one. The painful part? Most people don't lose a potential partner because they weren't good enough. They lose them because they didn't understand the season they were in. They moved too fast when patience was needed. They held back when boldness was called for. They gave too much, too soon, and created pressure where there should have been curiosity. Or they stayed too guarded, too long, and let something real die from neglect. And the relationship ends, not with a bang, but with a slow, invisible leak nobody patched in time. Today, I'm naming the 5 courtship mistakes that take real potential and turn it into real pain. Stay with me. Courtship is the most consequential season in any relationship, and the least understood. Think about it. The attraction is real, but it's fragile. The interest is genuine, but it's still being decided. This person likes you, but they are still watching you, still reading you, still asking themselves, consciously or unconsciously, is this someone I can trust? Is this someone I can build with? Is this someone who is ready? And the answers they arrive at are determined almost entirely by how you behave in this season, not by how you look, not by how successful you are, not even by how much you like them, by how you engage. Here's another thing courtship is that most people miss. Courtship is not the relationship. It is the interview for the relationship. Just like a job interview, you can be the most qualified person in the room and still not get the position. Not because you weren't right for the role, but because something in the room, something in how you carried yourself, raised a question that never got answered. That is what these 5 mistakes do. They don't announce themselves. They don't come with warning signs. They just quietly raise questions in the other person's mind. Questions like, is this person emotionally stable? Is this person interested in me? Or just in the idea of me? Is this person secure enough to handle a real relationship? Am I being chosen or am I being needed? And when those questions pile up unanswered, the connection doesn't explode. It just exhales and disappears. That's the quiet tragedy of courtship mistakes. They don't feel like mistakes when you're making them. They feel like love. They feel like effort. They feel like you're doing the most, when in reality, you're doing too much of the wrong thing. And the worst part? You can have genuine chemistry, genuine compatibility, and a genuine future with someone, and still lose them in courtship. Not because the potential wasn't real, but because potential is not enough. Potential has to be protected, and protecting it requires understanding the season you're in and what it demands of you. That's what today's discussion is about. These 5 mistakes are not rare. They are not things only emotionally broken people do. They are things intelligent, caring, well-meaning people do because nobody taught them better. Until now. Number 1. Auditioning instead of evaluating. When most people enter courtship, they enter it from a position of want. They want this person to like them. They want this connection to work. They want to be chosen. And that want, as innocent as it feels, immediately puts them in the wrong posture. Because the moment you're focused on being chosen, you've handed the other person all the power. You stop asking, is this person right for me? And you start asking, Am I good enough for this person? And that internal shift changes everything about how you engage. Suddenly, you're laughing a little harder than you need to, agreeing a little more than you actually do, shrinking the parts of yourself that feel risky to show, amplifying the parts you think they'll approve of. You're not in courtship with them. You're auditioning for them. And here's what that costs you. It costs you your power, and it costs you accurate information. Because when you're in audition mode, you're not actually getting to know this person. You're too busy managing their impression of you. You're performing, and they're watching a performance, which means neither of you is operating in reality. And relationships cannot be built on performances. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. You are not a candidate. You are a co-interviewer. Walk into courtship with this understanding. I am also evaluating. I am watching. I am asking questions. I am paying attention to how this person treats people, handles disappointment, responds to boundaries, shows up when it's inconvenient. Because you are not just trying to win someone's affection. You are trying to determine if this person is worth your affection. That is not arrogance. That is wisdom. And paradoxically, the moment you stop auditioning and start evaluating, you become more attractive. Because confidence is magnetic. And nothing communicates confidence like someone who knows their own worth. Number 2, premature emotional investment. This one breaks more hearts than almost anything else in courtship. Because it doesn't come from weakness. It comes from depth. It comes from the capacity to feel and to feel fully. And that capacity is actually a gift. But a gift given in the wrong season becomes a burden. Here's what premature emotional investment looks like in real life. You've been talking for months, and you're already restructuring your schedule around them. You've been on few dates, and you're already imagining the future. You're already protective, already attached, already invested at a level the relationship has not yet earned. And so when they pull back, even slightly, it devastates you. When they don't text back quickly, it destabilizes you. When they mention someone else casually, it triggers you. When the energy shifts even a little, your entire emotional world shifts with it, and they can feel that. They can feel the weight of what you've placed on something that was supposed to still be light. Courtship is supposed to have a certain ease to it, a certain buoyancy. It's the season of discovery, not desperation. And when someone feels the pressure of your full emotional investment before the relationship has a structure to hold it, they don't lean in, they step back. Not because they don't care, but because it suddenly feels like a lot. Like responsibility they didn't sign up for yet. Like the cost of continuing has just gone up before they've decided if they're buying. Here's the discipline courtship demands. Let the relationship grow at the pace of evidence, not the pace of your feelings. Your feelings will always move faster than reality. That is the nature of attraction. But maturity means you don't act on every feeling the moment you feel it. You observe, you enjoy, you stay present without projecting a future that hasn't been built yet. Invest in proportion to what has actually been established, not in proportion to what you hope is coming. Number 3, performing instead of presenting. Now this one is subtle, because there's a version of this that looks responsible. I'm just putting my best foot forward. And there is nothing wrong with that if your best foot is actually your foot. The problem is when best foot forward becomes, let me show them a version of me that I think will land. Let me be a little more agreeable than I actually am. Let me not mention that thing about me yet. Let me hold back my real opinions until it is safe. Let me perform compatibility, instead of discovering whether it actually exists. That is not putting your best foot forward. That is building a relationship on a costume. And here is why it always unravels. You cannot maintain a performance indefinitely. Along the line, the real you shows up. The opinions you suppressed come out. The standards you hid make an appearance. The personality you edited reveals itself. And now the other person feels disoriented. Because who is this? This is not who I signed up for. And the painful irony is, The real you might have been exactly what they wanted. But now there's a trust issue. Because if you hid yourself in the beginning, what else are you capable of hiding? Performing in courtship doesn't protect you. It builds a connection that cannot survive contact with reality. What courtship actually requires is courageous presentation. Show up as you are. Your real opinions, your actual standards, your genuine self. Early enough that the connection being formed is a connection to you, not to a character you played to earn their approval. The right person will not be scared off by the real you, and the wrong person being scared off by the real you is not a loss. That is the system working exactly as it should. Number 4, ignoring the signs to protect the hope. This is the one that people look back on and say, I knew, I just didn't want to see it. And that sentence carries so much pain, because it means the hurt was not only from the outcome, it was from the self-betrayal, from overriding your own instincts to keep a feeling alive. Here is how this mistake happens. You're in courtship. Things feel promising, and then something shows up. Maybe it's inconsistency. They're warm and present one week, distant and unavailable the next. Maybe it's a boundary you set that they pushed against. Maybe it's just a feeling, an unnamed unease, that something doesn't quite add up. And instead of getting curious, instead of asking the question, leaning into the discomfort, paying closer attention, you talk yourself out of it. Maybe I'm overthinking. Nobody is perfect. I don't want to be the person who self-sabotages. Things have been so good otherwise. And the flag gets folded up and tucked away. And you keep moving forward until you can't ignore it anymore. Here's what you must understand about red flags in courtship. They are not there to ruin your hope. They are there to inform your decision. A flag is not a verdict. It is an invitation to pay attention, to ask a better question, to observe more carefully before you go deeper. And the worst thing you can do is negotiate with what you're seeing to protect what you're feeling. What you see in courtship is not the worst of a person. It is a curated version of their best. People are on their best behavior in courtship. They are trying, they are presenting, which means whatever cracks appear in this season are not flukes. They are previews. Do not dismiss the preview because you love the trailer. Number 5, confusing intensity for intimacy. You meet someone, and the connection is electric. The conversations go for hours. You finish each other's thoughts. They see you in a way that feels rare. The chemistry is undeniable, and it feels like, finally someone who gets it, gets me. Finally something that feels like it is here. And that intensity, that feeling, becomes the evidence you use to justify everything. Moving fast, forgiving things you shouldn't, overlooking what you should be examining. Because surely something that feels this real, this strong, this different, must be the real thing. But here is the distinction that could save you years of pain. Intensity is an emotion. Intimacy is a construction. Intensity is what you feel. Intimacy is what you build, slowly, deliberately, through consistent behavior, through honesty under pressure, through showing up when it costs something, through navigating conflict and coming out closer. Intensity can exist between two completely incompatible people. Chemistry is not compatibility. A deep conversation is not a deep commitment. Feeling understood is not the same as being known over time, across seasons, through difficulty. And when you confuse the two, you make decisions based on feeling that should be based on evidence. You move at the speed of emotion instead of the speed of wisdom. And the foundation cracks, not because the feeling wasn't real, but because feeling alone was never enough to build on. The question in courtship is never just, do I feel this? The question is, does this person's character, consistency, and conduct give me a reason to trust that what I feel has somewhere real to go? Intensity is the spark, but intimacy, real intimacy, is the structure that keeps the fire from burning the house down. Don't chase the spark at the expense of the structure. So here we are, 5 mistakes. And if you're honest with yourself right now, you recognized yourself in at least one of them, maybe more than one. And I want you to sit with that. not with shame, but with clarity. Because clarity is the beginning of change. And the fact that you're still watching, still listening, still willing to examine yourself, that already puts you ahead of most people. Most people would rather protect their ego than upgrade their understanding. You just chose differently. But before you go, I need to leave you with the one truth that ties all five of these mistakes together. Because there is a thread running through every single one of them. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every one of these mistakes comes from the same root. They all come from fear. Auditioning instead of evaluating. Fear that your real self won't be enough. Premature emotional investment. Fear that if you don't hold on tight, it will slip away. Performing instead of presenting. Fear that the truth of who you are will cost you the connection. Ignoring the signs. Fear that seeing clearly means losing the hope. Confusing intensity for intimacy. Fear that if you slow down and examine it, it won't survive the examination. Fear dressed up as love. Fear dressed up as effort. Fear dressed up as depth and chemistry and going all in. Here is what I want you to hear. Courtship was never designed to be navigated from fear. Courtship was designed to be a season of discernment, a sacred, intentional window where two people come to the table as whole individuals, not as half people looking to be completed, not as auditioners hoping to be selected, not as performers hoping the mask holds long enough to become the relationship, but as two grounded, self-aware adults who are genuinely asking, is this person someone I want to build a life with? And am I being the person I need to be to build it well? That is the posture courtship demands. And when you show up that way, everything changes. You stop losing yourself in the process of trying to win someone. You stop investing more than the season calls for. You stop shrinking to fit and start showing up to be known. You stop overriding your instincts and start trusting them as data. You stop letting the electricity of a feeling move faster than the evidence of a person's character. The goal of courtship is not to get the person. The goal of courtship is to know the person and to let yourself be known, fully, honestly, without the performance, without the fear, without the premature weight of a future that hasn't been earned yet. Do that, and one of two things will happen. Either you will build something real on a foundation that can actually hold it, or you will discover, early enough to walk away clean, that this was not the right person for the season you're in. And both of those outcomes are a win. The only loss in courtship is staying blind when you could have seen, moving fast when wisdom called for stillness, giving everything to someone before you knew if they were someone worth giving everything to. Don't let fear make that decision for you. You deserve a love that was built, not just felt. Go intentional. If this hits something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 mistakes have you made? You don't have to name names. Just be honest. And if you're serious about building the kind of relationship that actually lasts, subscribe, because this is just the beginning of the conversation. I will see you in the next one.